Solstice is always a time that we have focused upon the light, and this solstice is going to be entirely different from anything we've experienced before, because there is more light, as Cullen just said, coming from so many multiple sources. The topic of the whole energy is be the light.
Solstices and the equinoxes were seen as a much more magical experience. People were much more connected with nature.
What is the story of Earth and humanity that is being told across galaxies?
This planet is a school for learning. Earth has been given some unique tools for humanity to use to make a difference in your evolutionary journey.
What was the original intention for humanity to eventually become?
To truly remember who we are, to really, really understand where we're from and why we're here.
Before today's transmission, I wanted to take a minute to let you in on something that could change your life. If you've been doing the inner work and still feel like you're walking this path alone, you're not the only one. Most spiritual spaces give you endless content to consume, but not a tribe to grow with. That's why we created The Deep Dive, a living spiritual ecosystem designed to help you grow in community, rhythm, and real embodiment. Right now, our members are embarking on a journey exploring a core spiritual and practical teaching through daily activations, live community gatherings guided by me and our facilitators, and also participating in sacred challenges that are designed to help you live your practice and bring it to life. You'll be surrounded by seekers and leaders who've decided that they're done doing this work in isolation. If you're ready to find your people, visit the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen right now, and I'll see you inside. Pia Orleane, Cullen Smith, welcome on Just Tap In. What are you most excited about right now globally and in your life?
I'm excited about all the energies that are coming forward to clear out what no longer works and bring in things from a higher dimension, and all the hearts that are opening up to possibilities.
I am absolutely excited that the energies that are coming to our plane of existence are more powerful, more light-filled, more supportive than at any other time in human history. We are experiencing what our Pleiadian friends call a great leap in consciousness. And this energy, this experience is changing humanity. People are waking up. People are changing. People are realizing that what they thought was their true reality isn't really what's going on. So I'm absolutely excited about what we can achieve together as a team in creating unity consciousness together.
And it stretches across seeing individual changes that we bump up against every day when we meet different people, to the global changes of seeing the massive waves of a higher energy coming in. So it spans the entire spectrum. Very exciting times.
What's beautiful about the timing is that this episode is going to be coming out the day after the time where this 3I Atlas comet is passing closest to the sun. And it almost feels like there's this convergence of energies happening going into this year. You talked about the incoming waves of light. Many people are already talking about 3I Atlas, solar activity. I wanted to tie these all together from your Pleiadian perspective of how all of those energies are actually truly supporting us in this leap of consciousness that you talk about. If we can go more into the weeds of how that process works in that sense.
Well, I would begin by saying truth comes from many sources. That's one thing that our Pleiadian friends Larkma always tell us. And the secondary principle is everything is energy. And if we want to look at the energies that are coming in and feel the tone, the color, the shape of the energies that are coming in, it actually doesn't really matter whether we give it a specific name or whether we just accept the frequency as they're coming in, because we can feel the resonance of the waves. They're powerful, they're potent, and we're rarely happy with the energy of the Three-Eye Atlas, the interstellar communications that are coming in waves, everything that is coming from the inner earth and from the stars. It's all converging at one time, coming in increasing waves that ebb and flow like the ocean. A new wave comes in, we adapt and adjust, we settle, and then another new wave comes in, we adapt and adjust, we settle. And the entire time it's lifting us into higher and higher frequencies. Very exciting times.
Mm. And I know that there were also these massive convergence points earlier this year in March that you guys were talking about a lot. Last solstice in March. And as we're approaching the winter solstice, do you feel like it's also a marker point of something that's continuing from that time in March, that now these energies of this ascending cycle for humanity are starting to, let's say, integrate more into the field?
Absolutely. As Pia said, the waves of energy are continuing to amplify, support, and completely give us wisdom, information, everything we need to be able to make this giant leap in consciousness. So starting back almost a year ago now with the energies last March, really were a springboard or a true beginning or a re-beginning of the help and the support that we need. There are so many energies. There are so many different kinds of support systems, from interstellar, inner Earth, planetary. There are many, many avenues or many, many types of energy that we're being given. We're being given gifts constantly. And it's our duty and our responsibility to receive these and use them in a deep and absolutely reverent sense of realizing that we're being supported by so many in so many different ways.
Solstice is always a time that we have focused upon the light. And this solstice is going to be entirely different from anything we've experienced before, because there is more light, as Cullen just said, coming from so many multiple sources. The topic of the whole energy is be the light. Understand that you are the light, accept the light, connect with the light. So this solstice will bring an even greater focus on light and who we are as beings of light than ever before. It is definitely a continuation from what began last March.
Mm. And I love that you both have these very different backgrounds as well, you know, ranging from psychology, anthropology. I would love to stay on the topic of solstices for a moment, because to understand in past civilizations, in past times, what were the solstices meant for energetically, spiritually as well, the rituals that other civilizations did around those that still apply today, especially to this one that we are approaching right now?
Well, in different epochs and different times historically, the solstices and the equinoxes were seen as a much more magical experience. People were much more connected with nature, much deeper, much more involved than we are today. Everybody in our global society isn't as connected as ancient people were to these magical experiences. Many people just let the solstices and the equinoxes pass by without even observing them, without even respecting them. They just aren't connected any longer. And so what we hope is there will be a reemergence of the connectivity, the importance of these energetic waves, these energetic opportunities. So as P and I see humanity uplifting ourselves and changing, we're going to be celebrating collectively more and more with these absolutely life-changing experiences.
It also has to do, Emilio, with moving away from the linear concept of time, because we have been taken away from nature by an artificial clock and an artificial calendar. Nature changes energies at sunset every day, not at midnight in the middle of the dark. So we've been given an artificial sense of what starts the new day, the new year. If you look at nature and harmony, what the solstice and the equinoxes have always meant, you have to go back to the idea of the energy of 13, because the moon moves around the earth 13 times. Women have 13 menstrual cycles to create a life. Everything is based on 13. But the patriarchy dismissed energy as being on 13, as being an unlucky number. And they created a 12-month year and a 12-hour clock, 12 hours in the day, 12 hours at night. If we go back to nature, we would have 13 months in a year, each of them 28 days long, and no such thing as the leap year that readjusts every 4 years. So part of the reconnection of what's going on now, as Cullen said, it's a total reawakening to nature once again, and it's stepping out of the illusion of time that has kept us spellbound in a reality that isn't quite real.
I would really love to go deeper into that around this Gregorian calendar, because you both have been receiving these messages from interdimensional extraterrestrial beings like the Pleiadians and other inner Earth beings, and they've shared information about advanced physics, advanced mathematics, advanced medicine, time travel even. And I would love to understand how they've explained to you both why humanity was given this artificial calendar or time, this notion of time that completely changed how we function in this reality. And if we're moving back to the original real time that we maybe should be more in flow with.
Well, the starting point for that is recognizing that we're living on a planet of duality. Larkma tells us that we don't know how to use duality correctly. We see it as you, me, right, wrong, good, bad. Everything is in conflict and opposition. But the correct use of duality has to do with harmonizing opposite viewpoints to expand for a larger vision. So the starting point is recognizing that we've been misusing duality for a very long time. The matriarchy, when it was the governing body for humanity, which Cullen can speak to from his background, the matriarchy always considered the divine masculine and the divine feminine viewpoints and brought them together for a more holistic vision. The patriarchy decided we don't want to do that anymore, and it was part of the push or the dynamic tension for growth when they said, nope, we're going to go into conflict, creating this dynamic tension. And this dynamic tension said, we need to have power and control over rather than cooperation with. That dismissed all of the things that were based on unity and put us into a sense of separation. And that has been the governing idea, which has been connected with the darkness of the Kali Yuga for a really long time. Now that the Kali Yuga is over and we're moving into a time of purification and ascending energies, everyone who's awakening with the light is keenly aware that we're moving out of separation and back towards unity again. And that was what I would say would be the starting point of this conversation.
We need to see the evolving reappearance of the divine feminine as it was so powerful and so supportive when it was the governing agent in ancient times. What we're experiencing right now is an alchemical marriage of the true divine feminine and the true divine masculine coming back together in a balanced way, a way that we can utilize all of the strengths, all of the gifts from both genders that have been so skewed for millennia, thousands and thousands and thousands of years. We haven't been working together to create a better whole. So what we're seeing is the resurgence of the divine feminine. We're seeing it everywhere. We're seeing men waking up to the fact that they have divine feminine energies and elements within themselves, which have been lost for so long. So what we're seeing and what we're experiencing is that recombining, I don't know how to say this clearly, that I guess alchemical marriage of these two energies back together to create a harmonious society. And we're seeing it every day. We're seeing people waking up to the fact that both genders have equal attributes, equal components that create a much greater whole together.
How do intergalactic societies approach this topic of duality, polarity, gender? What is there, maybe even specifically Larkma, what has been their perspective and viewpoint on that?
Well, one thing I can say about that is when Laarkmaa first introduced themselves to us, and we said, "Who are you? Where are you from?" And we're asking all those questions, getting to know them. They said, "We are one of six and six of one." And we said, "What does that mean?" And they said, "We are six individual units, but we work together in total unity from the heart and from love." And that's what we're aiming for. That's what's happening now. That's what the Galactics are all telling us is the direction we're moving in. Keep your individual gifts and merge them with the universal consciousness under the idea of Ahimsa, which means do no harm, and seek the highest good of all. So the unified idea is to take your individual gifts and share them like we're sharing in this conversation. And that brings a higher perspective towards unity, which is always aimed at the highest good for all and doing no harm.
What's interesting you said about the gifts is I know you both have accessed parallel dimensions since childhood. And you've also talked about this idea of bringing through our gifts from other parallel lifetimes and merging it into this one, maybe to maximize our potential in the life that we're living. What was it like going back to those days of childhood, accessing these parallel dimensions? I'd love to hear from you on that because it might be experiences that people are going to have more often with these surges of light that we talked about in the beginning.
Totally normal and natural from my experience. I thought everybody did that until I found out otherwise.
We had what has been called or labeled invisible friends from early childhood. Many people know this story, not about us, but about children in general, that many children have what has been called invisible friends that they talk to, that they play with, but their parents and possibly even their siblings don't see them or don't hear them. And when children become what is called socialized, when they start going to school, age 5, 6, 7, adults often say, well, children, it's time to stop thinking that you have invisible friends. They're not real. They're part of your imagination, and you need to grow up now. You need to become more adult-like. And when P and I were told things like that, we just shook our heads and said, this is our reality. This is where we belong. And we never said goodbye to our invisible friends. And we had encounters with the fairy kingdom, with the David kingdom,
angelic kingdom, interstellar beings.
We played with many, many different realms. And I think it helped prepare us for what we would become as adults, being able to connect with and realize how absolutely connected all of us are to other realms and other dimensions.
I think it was too important and too real for us to be talked out of it. It was too important and too real to let go of it because it felt more real than much of the third dimensional things we were being taught at school or in social situations. It just felt like, no, I think you guys have it all wrong. This is the true reality. So that's pretty much the way it's been for us all of our lives.
Mm. And which of those realms felt most like home for you both?
I would probably say being connected to star family, star kingdoms, star societies. I always felt disconnected, both to Earth and my family of origin. I didn't feel as though I was really part of what I was experiencing. When I was a small child, I found myself often either looking out the window or being outside and just simply looking up into the sky because I missed that connection, that deeper resonance of heart understanding that I was not getting as a human here on Earth. So I think for me, it was absolutely a skyward. Where did I come from? Who was I? And I think as I aged, I realized that I was more from the stars than I was here from Earth.
Mm.
And yet adding to that, I would say that Cullen and I both have had a deep connection with the David Kingdom, with nature. Going on a hiking trail and being able to see faces in the rocks, or hearing the trees speak as we walk by, or having a plant turn and look at us as its energy recognizes our energy. That sort of thing has always been a really amazing part of our lives. We were in Barbados several years ago, and we went to an orchid growing place, and we were touring the different orchids. We had this amazing experience where there was one particular beautiful orchid that captured our attention. And we stopped and just stood in front of it and said, "You are so beautiful." And this orchid would turn towards Cullen and then towards me as each of us was speaking. There was a deep conversation going on. And that sort of thing has also been really of primary importance. And I also can't leave out the angelic kingdom, because the angelic kingdom has been with me my whole life. It's a part of my family. It's a part of who I am. So I think we would have a trinity here of the interstellar beings, the angelic kingdom, and the David kingdom. Mm. Hard to say what's more important.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people watching and tuning in, including myself, also do feel those really deep connections, even if it's beyond the intellect, that we don't understand why we feel these connections, but it's there. And when you both started connecting with Larkma, started coming through the radio waves and then the TVs, and then eventually they told you, you don't need all that external stuff to connect with us. It's just telepathic. And one thing that we have had a lot of channelers on the show, but Laarkma has guided you both as a different perspective of channeling and calling it something along the lines of synchronization or merging of energies. So I'd love to go deep into how you guys have been taught what that process really is, instead of just what we normally would know as channeling in that sense.
Well, when they first introduced themselves to us, they quite quickly said, we don't want to just speak to you. We want to learn from you also. We want a conversation. We want a two-way sharing. And they went on to say, we don't really like the term channeling. We believe that that was an old term where wise energies would speak through a human, but there was no dialogue. It was just speaking wisdom or information, and that was it. There was no conversation back and forth. And they said, we're absolutely not interested in that kind of communication. We want to have a deeper, more connected communication with you. And they said, is that all right with you? And we said, of course, we would love to have a conversation, not just listen to what you have to explain to us.
Another thing that they added that's important in how we bring through their information that may be different from others. They don't want any filterization because they say so many people get their ego involved or their belief systems involved. And there's a fail-safe when they come through Cullen and me, because Cullen and I and our outer personalities are very different. If I'm hot, he's cold. If I say, let's do it this way, he goes, well, what about this way? There's a constant comparing of opposites and bring them together for a bigger picture, always. And Larkma says that prevents any type of filterization, because if my beliefs were going to get in the way, Cullen's would cancel it out. If his beliefs were going to get in the way, I would cancel it out. So what comes through the two of us is they use what they call the libraries of our minds, because we have to be touching for them to come through, and joined together. In order to do that, all filterization is canceled out and the message comes through really purely.
We asked them many questions when we first began our conversation with each other. We said, why did you choose us? There are so many humans on this planet. You could have chosen anyone. And they said, well, there are many reasons. And what Pia just said about our oppositeness was one of them. But they also said, we want to bring our wisdom through both of your genders. We want an alchemical marriage of your divine masculine, your divine feminine, so that the information that comes through will be for everyone, not just certain people. It will be genderless. And we thought, well, that's a pretty interesting aspect of that. And they said, we've worked with you for many, many parallel lives.
That's the third component. Yes.
This is not a new experience. We have been waiting and waiting for the two of you to re-meet each other in this earthly experience so that we can continue this conversation. So they made it very clear that they chose us particularly specifically.
And I know you've said before that they tend to come through in a blue type energy, and you both have had many mystical experiences with them. If there's one that really stands out above the rest, what would you like to share around that?
Well, there's one that's more unusual than the rest. I mean, oftentimes we do see them as blue waves of energy. We have seen them appear as six beings walking in front of us. So things that you might think of normally have happened. But there is one that sort of takes the cake on unusual experiences.
Cullen knows which one you're talking about.
This is a really, truly funny story. Do you want to?
Go ahead.
Well, we were living at a very high elevation when they introduced themselves to us. We were living at approximately 10,000 feet, probably 2,500 meters, very, very high in the mountains. And it was consequently very snowy in the winters. And we were driving home one night, and in a blizzard, in a snowstorm, we got close to our house. And as we drove up a very long, windy driveway, we saw something that we could not believe we were seeing. We saw 6 blue deer levitating off the ground at about 5 or 6 feet.
Levitating.
A couple of meters off the ground. As we got closer to them, we saw that they had absolutely sparkling blue eyes. Now, we know that deer are not blue. We know that deer do not levitate, and we know that they do not have sparkling blue eyes. We looked at each other and said, "Do you see what I see?" And we both said, "Of course." So we got out of the car, we went into the house, and they immediately began speaking to us, and they said, "We've been trying to tell you that we can appear in any form we choose. And we thought you might think this was funny, that from a human perspective, you might enjoy this kind of communication." I mean, it was really quite hilarious.
But the point of it all is to recognize that we are all energy. And what they're trying to share with us is that they're trying to show us that we too are beginning to learn how to manifest in different forms. We're not only these static carbon-based forms, we are evolving into our energetic expression as a more light-filled body. So it's a great demonstration for us to understand the concept and have an ideal goal to work towards.
Many of the things that they've shown us physically, they've done on purpose to show us that we are more like them than we believe. We are capable of many things that they show us that they can do. This example of the deer was simply showing us that we can shapeshift also, that we have that capability.
We just haven't figured out quite how to do it yet.
What will it take for us to learn that or to get there?
Raising our vibration, absolutely.
I think getting the frequency up so we're in alignment with the incoming energies. As the energies come in the higher frequency, as we raise ourselves into higher frequency, that begins to happen. It can be demonstrated by the number of people, including us, who are doing a tremendous amount of astral travel, where we're out of the body and we're in a different form doing something else. That's a step along the path. When we learn to master and integrate being in this physical form and astral travel at the same time, being able to do that, then we'll be able to shapeshift. This is just a step where the astral travel is beginning to happen. I think we'll be able to do this within a couple of years.
And when we talk about astral travel, we're not just speaking of while we're asleep. We're talking about in our everyday waking state. Pia and I have experiences where we will feel that we're not really here in the third dimension. It's a very wobbly, very tingly, very
light,
very unusual feeling physically, where we're probably bridging or gapping more than one dimension simultaneously. People have talked about this for many, many years. Some people call this bleed through, where we're actually experiencing another dimension consciously while part of us is still here physically. So we're carrying on what we're doing as a normal human, but we're also doing something simultaneously outside of that physicalness where we're in another dimension. And it is a thrilling, absolutely otherworldly experience.
It also aligns with the concept that Larkma's been teaching people about parallel lives, that everything happens synchronistically at the same time. No such thing as a past life or a future life, because the past and future don't really exist. That's only our third dimensional perspective. And adding to what Cullen just said, we have had experiences where I would walk by a chair in the living room and see Cullen sitting there and speak to him, and he wouldn't say anything. And I'd call out and he'd answer me from a different floor of the house. So I would realize, oh, this is a different dimension. He's here now, but this is different. Or he would do the same thing for me. He would call me and I would answer from a different floor of the house. And one day, the one most astounding one for me is I went outside for something and I walked by our truck, and I looked and I saw myself sitting in the driver's seat of the truck as I was standing outside the window. And I went, okay, I'm connecting into parallel aspects of myself. Now, we've been doing that for 10 or 15 years now. It's not an everyday thing, but it does happen with some regularity. And one of the things we're trying to help others do is guide them into accepting that we are not who we think we are. We are so much more than that, helping everyone to expand to a higher version of themselves.
Wow. I would love to raise our vibration here for a moment and merge with Larkma, if you guys are open. And I know you said that Larkma has many friends, so I know that we're at a pivotal moment in time, and there are many messages that are needing to come through for humanity. So before getting into that, is there anything that you both are feeling into for this conversation or this transmission that is wanting to come through, maybe beyond Larkma as well?
I would say leave it to the Pleiadian and other voices of the light's understanding of what we need to hear. What would you say?
Well, I would agree with that. Whenever Larkma is asked to speak, they know what the audience is ready to hear. They know the energy of the importance of what they bring through, directly connecting with the people who will be listening. So I would say, let's let them speak about what they feel is most important at this time.
And just ask whatever questions come to your heart.
Beautiful. I'm here for it. So whenever you both are ready, we'll be here.
Hello, dear one. We are Larkma. Please give us your heart song. That is your name and your voice, so we may hear your energetic signature.
My name is Emilio Ortiz.
Emilio Ortiz. May we call you Emilio?
Yes.
We are pleased with the light and the love that you are sharing through the work you have chosen to do. We wish you to know that you are making a difference in reaching many people who are interested in expanding their wisdom, growing on their evolutionary journey, and using whatever tools you offer in their ascension process. So we'd like to begin this conversation by saying thank you for who you are and what you are bringing into the world.
Thank you so much. I truly receive and appreciate that acknowledgement.
We'd also like to say that the timing of this conversation will be released at a most auspicious time, when the focus of the entire world is turned towards the point where light is the focus. Light is the conversation. Light is the awareness, coming in more than it ever has through humanity before. Light coming in on solstice will be bringing in another wave of multidimensional awareness, where people's blocks may be removed, where people may be open to expanding their hearts, and where people may be joining in one another's resonant fields to find the diversity of each gift each one offers and bring it into a unified consciousness for the evolutionary process of your species. We're most excited for this. This is a wonderful opportunity for all those who are interested in evolving on this evolutionary journey. Do you have any specific questions you would like to ask us about this process?
Thank you. Yes, for sure. I would love to know, what is the story of Earth and humanity that is being told across galaxies, in other intergalactic species and other beings that are watching all of this unfold? What is that story?
Yes, there are many of us who are watching. This is a planet of choice. This planet is a school for learning. Earth has been given some unique tools for humanity to use to make a difference in your evolutionary journey, unlike many of us who on our evolutionary journey had a different protocol and a different path to ascend into higher frequencies. Some of the tools that you have been given are, most importantly, the opportunity for choice and to recognizing that you're living in a planet of duality. So you always have a higher vibrational choice and a lower vibrational choice. It is interesting to us to watch how so many of you are feeling uncomfortable with the lower vibratory choices that have been made by your species for so long and are turning your energetic awareness towards making higher vibratory choices, raising you collectively into a higher frequency. The other thing this planet is viewed for and is being watched closely for is you have something that many others do not have. We come from a place of love. We speak through musical and mathematical tones. So our process has been somewhat different from yours, but we are guiding you where you are through these concepts of love and light. As one of the tools that you have here that is not available elsewhere in the universe, you would call it emotions. We have a little different distinction about that, though. We say that your natural feeling state is love, joy, trust, compassion, patience, kindness, gratitude, generosity, all those things that make your heart feel glad. These are the concepts that are your natural feeling state. Here on this planet, you have an extraordinary gift, which is what we call the emotions. The emotions are those things that make you feel uncomfortable: jealousy, fear, greed, anger, sadness, all of these things that keep you in a lower vibratory place. Now, the reason we call these tools for ascension is because when you feel these things, you're being given a gentle nudge or sometimes a hard push by the universe to wake up and recognize you're out of alignment. If you're feeling something that makes you uncomfortable, you're not in cosmic flow. You're out of alignment, and something needs to change. Generally, there are two things that you must look at to change. Either your situation or your circumstance needs adjustment and you must take responsibility to change it, or your perspective needs adjustment and you must invite in other possibilities to perceive what's going on. In other words, whenever you have an emotional flare-up of something that is triggering you to feel angry, sad, jealous, frustrated, fearful, your job is to say, oh, I'm getting a tool. I'm getting assistance. And then you stop and actually feel what you're feeling in your body, in your heart, and then ask your mind, what am I thinking about this? Generally, you will find patterns of thought like, why does this always happen to me? Or why does he or she always do that? Or some such thing that is a pattern of thought and belief. When you recognize the thought, you can immediately ask the question, what else could be true? Opening yourself to higher perspectives. This is the great tool that your planet has, that your species has been given to evolve more fully. So, there are many of us, as you are well aware, watching from all over the planet, all around as we sit watching you from outside of your sphere, watching to see what choices you will make. Will you learn how to use the tools you've been given? Will you take the opportunity that the waves of higher energy are bringing forward to you to raise your frequency and help you develop into the higher beings that you are destined to become? It's your choice whether you choose to take advantage of this in this now moment and the next, or whether you push it aside and resist it and take a longer time to evolve. This is the interesting point we are all so engaged in watching. Does this answer your question?
Yes, and going a little bit deeper into Earth, not only metaphorically, but practically, you've also been talking about how we are beginning to discover more tunnels into the inner earth, and that there are whole kingdoms, crystalline kingdoms that are in that dimension. What can you tell us about what we will discover and learn about in the next coming year or so around that in specific?
Well, for that portion of the conversation, we would like to introduce you to one of our colleagues who is from the inner earth. Would this be acceptable?
Of course. Of course.
Give us a moment. We will share energetic space for an inner earth being to speak with you directly. I am Garth. I am from the inner earth, and I come to represent our beings who are here to help you in your evolutionary process. One thing you must know that we wish to share with you is that you are not carbon-based beings entirely. You are made of light, as we are. We in the inner earth focus upon the crystalline nature of our being. Larkma has spoken to you for years about your becoming crystalline light beings. Now we from the inner earth are here to demonstrate to you how to focus upon the crystalline nature of who you are as you raise your frequency. We have crystalline cities that reflect both the light of who we are between each other in our cities, and the light that comes from love, which is always present. And this is the light that you are moving toward. Inner Earth is going to be supporting the changes on your planet. You will see some cataclysmic activities, volcanoes, earthquakes, things that you may think are scary, but actually they are not. There is simply a purging and clarification of the direction you are going as we clear energies that are no longer appropriate in the higher frequency. It is nothing to be frightened of, for you, as you are in your hearts, will always be guided to connect with us in the inner earth, to connect with your interstellar friends, and to connect with your own divine connection to source, your intuition, to guide you to be safe in any of these changing circumstances. It is not something to be seen with fear or dread. It is something to be rejoiced in, that you are being assisted in moving out of places that you have been stuck for a long time as you open your frequency to join us and to join your interstellar friends. Cullen has a phrase that we like very much, and we wish to share it with you now. As the representative of the inner earth, I will tell you that much of what you need to achieve moving forward is to clear your trauma. Cullen's phrase is that you are trapped in trauma, and that keeps you trapped in the third dimensional illusion. Being trapped in trauma keeps you stuck. Freeing yourself from the trauma opens your heart to allow you to evolve into the crystalline being that you are of light. You have guidance, assistance, and help from both the interstellar friends, such as Larkma and others, and from the inner earth, such as I, Garth, and all the others who are here representing inner earth frequencies. You also have a greater awareness and awakening of the crystalline kingdom. It is important to know that crystals are living beings. They are a living part of the inner earth. On the surface of the earth, many humans gather crystals and use them without asking permission, thinking that they could use it as a tool, without recognizing that they're holding a conscious being in their hand. One thing I am here to share with you today is to recognize that when you see or touch a crystal, you are seeing and touching a being from the inner earth. That's why they are scattered across your planet, because they are there as signals and signposts to show you that you have another level of awareness to awaken into as you become crystalline yourself. These beings have volunteered to be your guides, your supports. So Have conversations with them. Ask them which they wish to share. Ask if they wish to participate in your healing journeys. Make yourselves aware that you are connecting with an inner earth being every time you touch or see a crystal. This is a first step to your being able to come into our kingdom and our world by being able to respect and communicate with the representatives who are there on your surface. Does this answer your question?
Yes. And I love the phrase that you shared by Cullen. And I wanted to ask you there, from your purview, what is the greatest trauma that humanity as a species has faced?
A wonderful question. That particular trauma has to do with the fear that you feel that has been imposed upon you as you have entered into separation and moved away from unity. That is the greatest trauma. Your separation from nature has instilled this trauma more deeply into you. You feel that something is missing, but you don't quite know what it is. You're turning towards artificial intelligence, which is not a part of nature and has nothing to do with heart wisdom, is a greater separation, creating even more trauma. The more you follow your social directives to connect with artificial intelligence or be involved with things that are disconnected from nature, the more you deepen your own trauma. The more you reconnect with nature and the ways of consciousness that are coming in to support your becoming who you are as frequencies and beings of light, the more you are clearing the trauma. Larkma helps people on an everyday basis to clear the traumas where they are stuck. I am here to tell you that each of you has roots into the inner earth, and you can connect with beings in the inner earth once you manage to clear the traumas that block your passageway. There is no division between the inner earth dimension, the interstellar dimensions, and the surface of your planet, except the divisions that you have put in place as a species through fear, separation, and control. Does that answer it fully?
Yes. And this is a question for either you, Garth, or Laarkmaa, but many people describe this feeling of time is starting to speed up, or reality is starting to become more fluid, like the bleed throughs that we were talking about earlier. What is actually happening from a dimensional perspective, and how can we better understand what is going on with this phenomenon?
I will thank you for your conversation and deep, profound questions that I have been able to participate with as a member of Inner Earth, and I will return you to Laarkmaa to answer this question about what is happening.
Thank you so much, Garth.
Hello, dear one. As Laarkmaa, we are pleased to answer your question about what is really happening with what you have referred to as bleed through. It is the awakening of your multidimensional self. It is the awakening of your integrating all of who you are in different dimensions. When you experience what you call deja vu or bleed through or something from a different level of awareness, you are actually integrating in gifts that you carry as who you are as a cosmic being. This becomes more and more possible as you clear the traumas that block your way. As you clear your traumas and open your heart, you become more accessible to the energies that are coming in to support your return to multidimensionality. Does this make sense?
Yes, definitely. And there's also a lot of conversation around how our DNA is changing. Do you see that, and as it relates to perhaps the light or the surges of light that we talked about earlier?
Absolutely, it is related. You have been told for a long time that you have 2 strands of DNA, only 2 strands of DNA, and everything else is junk. It is far from junk. You have 12 strands of DNA, and that is a very important number. In the Pleiadian earth energy and cosmic awareness of what are the number representations. 12 is the energy that in your language you will call understanding. We call it interstanding. Understanding is a hierarchical term, meaning you're gaining knowledge from something above you. You are under it, understanding. Interstanding is a higher level frequency of being able to weave in what you are receiving and recognizing more fully. So we would say you are interstanding, and the energy of 12 is all about that. Here, with your 12 strands of DNA, in this particular experience, you are in the 13th position of integration. So you can integrate all 12 strands of DNA. Each of these strands of DNA reaches out and connects to a multidimensional aspect of yourself. And those multidimensional aspects expand exponentially. As you awaken one, you awaken another, and another, and another. But the key starting point is to be able to connect with those 12 dimensions and those 12 aspects of who you are by integrating them here in the form that you are in at this moment. This is the potent position of 13 as your process for evolution is about the ending of the cycle and integrating everything, the energy of 13, and being on the brink of starting again with the energy of 1, the initiation point of becoming the new humans. Does that make sense?
What can you tell us more about becoming the new humans?
This is an exciting topic. The new humans are unified, without pain, fear, suffering, all those things that separate you. The new humans operate from heart, from love, and always consider the highest good for all. You would do no harm to anything or anyone. You would make conscious choices recognizing that all life is sacred, and you would choose no longer to eat other things that are conscious. You would instead recognize that you can be sustained by the gifts from the plant kingdom. You can be sustained by the sunlight that comes in your life. You can be sustained by the energy waves that are feeding you. You can be sustained by the water that you are and the water you take in from your planet. The new humans will have a recognition of the highest good for all, that everything is connected, that you are unified in all ways. And with this understanding and this recognition, you will be able to energetically shape yourselves into whatever form you need for any particular task that is at hand. You'll also be able to automatically be any place in the universe you are called to be. There will be no such thing as a jet flight to take you from point A to point B, for you just say, I wish to be here, and you are there, because space and time merge together, and you can be everywhere synchronistically. This is becoming a cosmic citizen, and this is what you're aiming to become. The pathway is simple, but that does not mean it is easy. It is full of great challenges that require courage and great responsibility as you choose, choice by choice, to change your belief systems, to align yourself with higher frequencies, and to do whatever is required for your evolutionary growth. This is not easy, but it is necessary, and it is simple when you dedicate yourself to this path of evolution. Does this help?
Definitely. And perhaps the last question I'll ask you today is the evolution that humanity is currently going through tied at all to this phenomenon of the 3i Atlas comet that so many of us are tuning into energetically, especially at this time? What do you see as the greater role, purpose, or meaning of this comet 3i Atlas?
This is a intensified form of energy conscious awareness sent from galactic citizens who have higher awareness and higher frequency than you hold on your planet. this energetic consciousness is choosing to come to you to give you the gift of greater awakening. It is a wonderful gift to look forward to, not to be afraid of, but something to look forward to. There are other signs that are coming your way as well. We would mention to you that your scientific community, NASA and other such organizations, have recently made what they call a discovery. In their discovery, they said, we thought there were only 7 stars in the Pleiadian star system, but now we see more, at least 20, and maybe even more than that. This is a scientific level of expansion of awareness. What they are actually seeing is not stars, but they are seeing the twinkle of movement of light ships in the Pleiadian system. So even from the scientific vantage point, your world is awakening to there is a larger reality than what you have received before. However, you do not need science to tell you what is real and what is not. All you need is the consciousness of your heart and your open intuition to discern the energies that are coming in, feel them, align with them, and accept their gifts. 3i Atlas is one such gift that is coming your way, and there will be many more. There is another wave of consciousness coming, not only the one arriving around the 19th and 20th and 21st of December, but the one that will come next in spring at the spring equinox of next March, and the one that will come after that in May, and the one that will come after that in July. Each of these builds upon the other, and there will continue to be gifts given to you along the way for you to open your hearts and receive. We thank you for this deep conversation and your profoundly interesting and wise questions. And again, we thank you for what you are doing to help your species evolve, awaken, and grow into the cosmic citizens you are destined to be. We love you. Good always.
All the love. Thank you, Larkma. Oh, they're back. Welcome back. Welcome back. How did that feel?
Exhilarating as always.
It's always uplifting. We have listened to channelers all of our adult lives, and many channelers say the same thing, that when they channel, they feel that their energy is being taken or that it tires them out. And we have absolutely the opposite experience. We are uplifted. We are filled with energy.
Perhaps because this is not old-fashioned channeling. Perhaps this is because it's conscious merging.
It makes us smile.
Mm-hmm.
It truly makes us smile when we're involved with these energies, not just Larkma, but other beings from the light who wish to come through us also.
And also, you both remember everything that was talked about during the session.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very different from like an old-fashioned channeling style that it's complete trance and they're not able to retain any of the information that came through.
Yes.
Yep.
The only exception to that is when Laarkma's doing a personal session with people to help them clear trauma or get insight, they laughingly say they switch us off so that the conversation remains completely private with who they're talking to. And then after they're finished talking, they switch us back on again. So that's the only exception to that. But anytime we do anything publicly, we know and understand and hear everything that's going on.
Yeah. Cullen, I'd love to ask you what stood out during that channeling that we just did there, the merging with Larkma, and Garth as well made a guest appearance.
Well, that's a really interesting question and topic. Pia and I simultaneously receive the same information from Larkma or other beings from the light. When we first began this, after we had a private relationship with Larkma for probably 6 months or a year, when they asked us if we would go public, which we of course said we would both speak in public simultaneously. We were both saying the same words, bringing forth the same wisdom, and people would look at us and they didn't know which person to look at. It was like watching a tennis match. They were going from one of us to the other, to the other, to the other. And Larkma finally said, look, this is confusing to the public. We want the public to understand that you both have to be touching and you both receive the same information, but it's time that only one of you speak so that people are only concentrating on watching and listening to one of you. And so they chose Pia because they think her voice is more melodic and more connected to the way they communicate with mathematical and musical tones. So for the past some years, Pia has been speaking their wisdom, but I'm fully capable of doing it.
And what stood out for you during this particular one? What message?
Absolute connectedness, absolute, a unified, completely connected sense of we're all in this together. This is teamwork, and we're going to do this as a group together to grow and evolve.
I think the skies are in agreement because there's like a massive electric storm right here. I'm like, I don't know if you can hear it, but that's why I've been like muting myself. Yeah, I also felt that interconnectedness. And what was really interesting to me in my intellectual mind was around the discovery of NASA of these other 20 stars that are actually motherboard ships of the Pleiadians. Have you guys heard of that before, or what else can we touch on to unwrap that, which was really, really fascinating?
Well, they told us that, I don't know, a month or so ago, they told us your science is maybe 2 months, 3 months. They said your science is going to begin to see our light ships in the sky, because we are so around your planet and the veil is getting thinner and the waves of energetic awareness are opening. So even your science is going to begin to notice something different, but they'll try to put it in scientific terms, which makes Laarkma laugh. They always laugh because they say our science is so archaic. So we are interested in this continual exploration because it's almost emerging, finally, of science being able to see the true reality. That's what we're looking forward to seeing. And we think that it's going to become more and more apparent, starting with what happens with 3i Atlas this month, just in a few days, and then extending to what comes in the waves of energy and the ships that are going to be showing up in March. We think it's just going to be more and more and more awareness expanded.
It's interesting. There's been so much energy put into government disclosure about, are UFOs, are aliens real? You know, are we alone in the universe, or are there other beings? It's fascinating and humorous to us being connected to all of the beings that we're connected with, because there doesn't need to be any government disclosure. It's happening every day. There are so many humans bringing forth wisdom from the stars, from the inner earth, from so many different directions, that it's a reality. It's something that happens daily. We don't have to wait for a government to say, oh, this is real. These beings and these ships will be coming to Earth and they will be communicating with you. It's a foregone conclusion. This is going on every single day.
And I think Laarkma is trying to guide all of humanity to stop looking for answers outside of ourselves. Don't wait for the government to tell us what's real. Don't look to a medical institution to tell you what to do for your health. Don't look to some religious organization to tell you how to connect with Source. Go into your heart, because your heart will tell you what is true, how you're connected. It'll help you expand to know where you're supposed to be and who you're supposed to connect with, because we are all divinely connected.
I laugh when someone asks me, do you believe in aliens? And I'm like, bro, I interview them. Like, there's no, like, what do you mean? I'm past belief, I'm experiencing it. Really, to begin wrapping up this beautiful conversation and transmission, there's this last piece around this gift from our galactic citizens that came in the form of 3i Atlas, and that there's many others that will come in the following months. By gift, when you hear that, what does that mean to you? As how can humanity receive this gift in the best way possible?
Well, I think it's a pretty simple equation. All we have to do is open our hearts. If we open our hearts, we are available to whatever is coming towards us. If we stop being judgmental, if we stop being comparative, if we stop doing things that our belief systems drive us to do, old paradigm thoughts, old pieces of information that no longer fit, no longer help us, simply by opening up to greater and greater possibility, we will be able to receive all of these gifts, all of these wonderful, absolutely incredibly opening energies.
And I think, to add to what Cullen just said, we are so trained to look outside of ourselves for everything. We're really trained by the whole system to look outside of ourselves. And therefore, we're waiting for them to show themselves to us. We're waiting on them. Why don't you show yourselves? When what we have to train our focus to do is, why don't we train ourselves to be able to see what's really there? We have to reverse that. We have to train ourselves to be of the right frequency to see what's there, rather than waiting on something to show up in our level of where we are.
Yeah, you guys can't probably hear because I was muted, but there was this thunder going off as you guys were saying all of this. So there's an agreement from the universe for sure.
Yes.
And we end every show with a segment called The Final Trio, which are some questions that we ask at the very end. But I would love to ask you, before we get into that, where would you send people to find both of your work, the joint work that you're doing, and also anything else that you have coming up in your world that you would like to share with the audience today?
Well, we have a website for Laarkmaa's work. It is Laarkmaa, Laarkmaa.com.
It's an extensive website. It has a great amount of wisdom and information, and a very, very large amount of archival information about previous interviews, previous podcasts, books that we've written through and for Laarkmaa. All of the things that we've done over the decades we've been connected with them are all encapsulated in this website. So it's a great compendium of information.
We also have a YouTube channel called Pleiadian Laarkmaa YouTube, and we put YouTubes up every single week. People can find things there. And we are going to be keynote speakers in Sedona at the 2026 Sedona Ascension Retreat. And I'd be happy to send you the link for that so that you can share it with your audience.
We will, for sure, and include all the other links that you talked about and that you mentioned. So thank you for sharing that. And for the final trio, the first question I had for you is, if humanity could integrate only one teaching from Laarkmaa in this lifetime, which would accelerate our evolutionary leap the most, what would it be?
I think that's a pretty simple thing that we can share. Understanding that love is the highest energy in the universe. That if we come from a space of love, we have everything we need, and we will achieve everything we want to achieve.
With love, there's no room for fear, judgment, anything else, because it is the highest and most powerful frequency.
Thank you. And if we zoom out all the way, what was the original intention for humanity to eventually become?
Cosmic citizens. To become aligned with the energies of the cosmos, to raise the frequency from our prior collected experiences and integrate them so that we can learn to be unified with all that is.
To truly remember who we are, to really, really understand where we're from and why we're here.
And finally, what does it mean to you both to live from ahimsa in our daily lives?
It means always considering every thought, every feeling, and every choice that we make. It means having a plant-based diet where no animal is killed for our food. It means getting toxins and poisons out of our life, out of our environment. It means being purely of service to others, helping them to follow their own evolutionary guidance for what they need to evolve. And it means opening our hearts always to come from a place of love.
Stepping away from all judgment, stepping away from all separation, and realizing that we are all here for a reason. We are all here to promote love, connection, understanding, and support. It's the essence of why we're here, is to create that unified field that we once were part of, that we have lost.
The other thing about ahimsa is understanding that if I hurt another, no matter what it is, whether it's an animal, a person, a tree, I'm hurting myself. And conversely, if I'm hurting myself, judging myself or beating myself up for something, I'm hurting everybody else. So recognizing that level of connection is the true level of ahimsa.
There's a connection with the term ahimsa with a Mayan term known as in Lakesh. And in Lakesh simply means I am another yourself. And if I am recognizing that I am another yourself, I would never do any harm to anyone.
It's the golden rule that's in every single religion. Don't do unto others what you wouldn't want done unto you. And Pia, Cullen, I just wanted to thank you. Mother Earth seems like she's in agreement of this whole transmission. There's been I don't know how the connection is still up for us. But I wanted to, from the heart, thank you both for the beautiful wisdom that you bring through from doing this work from the heart, and for sharing so openly with us today. I can't wait to do this again. I feel like we'll have many more, and we're going to go into a lot more things this year for humanity. And I would love to have you both back on to continue weaving together and talking about the bigger picture and what's actually going on. So thank you so much, and sending you both so much love.
We'd be honored. Thank you so much, Emilio. This has been deeply connective and really wonderful.
Sharing our presences together has created another step, another vibratory level. So we're happy that you invited us to be part of this conversation, because we're creating something that's even greater than any of us can do individually. It's teamwork. It's absolutely an astonishing sense of creating what we want, because we know that we're moving forward.
The New Earth is about collaboration, so I'm happy to be a part of it with you both. Thank you so much.
Thank you.